Dang.
Subtitles are everywhere. They've become a critical part of film and television.
As long as I got my suit and tie.
Their effectiveness can make or break an entire story. In this video, we'll look at subtitle variations, formatting, and creative uses.
Do you mean date him or date him?
Yes.
Date him. Date him hard.
Okay. I'll date his brains out.
This is the ultimate guide to subtitles. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe and click the bell for more filmmaking videos. Subtitling is the process of creating text blocks that translate or transcribe a film's dialogue, narration, or on-screen text. The history of subtitles can be traced back to the late 19th century. Magic lanterns, sliding image projectors which predated film, would sometimes use subtitles to illustrate dialogue. With the advent of silent cinema, filmmakers would use intertitles to convey speech. Sometimes theaters would use types of magic lanterns to project translations under these titles. But the first modern use of subtitles can be found in the first synchronized sound film, The Jazz Singer. In 1929, the movie was shown with subtitles when it was screened in Paris.
Wonderful pals are always hard to find. Some folks have one, some folks have none.
Today, subtitles don't require a separate projector and can take many forms.
I'm the master of fright and a demon of light, and I'll scare you right out of your pants.
How a subtitle is presented can add to the overall mood of a movie or TV show, or punctuate an important line.
Thank you, sir!
Let's look at some different types of subtitling.
I am so happy to be in America.
Well, you certainly have a sunny disposition.
Subtitles have a variety of uses, and all of these uses can be put into two categories.
Well, that could be very useful.
Interlingual subtitles are transcriptions that are in the same language as the dialogue. They may be used to clarify muddled audio, often seen in documentaries or reality TV shows. Or they can help an audience understand a speaker with a thick accent. They can also be used if the dialogue can't be heard at all. Interlingual subtitles are subtitles that are translating into another language.
Monsieur Labadik, vu ce dont nous avons à discuter, il serait préférable de discuter en privé.
These are key for a film with global box office ambitions or global subject matter.
원래 알바는 자르세요. 해고 페널티를 주시라고.
Interlingual subtitles can also translate fictional languages, immersing audiences in fantastical worlds. Another form of subtitles is closed captioning. These subtitles transcribe movies for the deaf and hearing impaired, and include character names and descriptions of sounds. Closed captions ensure a movie's accessibility. Less common types of subtitles in film include those for karaoke, which encourage a viewer to sing along to a song.
Look at this family, a glowing constellation.
And freeform subtitles, which take a more experimental approach to the text's presentation. Subtitles are crucial in expanding the potential audience for a film and can help engage viewers. While they come in many shapes and sizes, most subtitles abide by various guidelines to ensure they are readable.
I can't read this. It's Aramaic. It says, Rufus, see you in 2 years, Jesus.
Let's look at some of these subtitling rules.
The only rules that really matter are these.
A subtitle's primary purpose is to provide clarity for dialogue in a film.
Yeah, me too.
Over time, Rules have been outlined by subtitlers and audiovisual translation researchers to ensure a caption is doing its job.
Like shipwrecked men turning to seawater from uncontrollable thirst.
First, subtitles need to be on screen long enough for an audience to be able to read them.
Speak quickly. Give me your name, Horsemaster, and I shall give you mine.
For foreign language captioning, translators will sometimes make dialogue more concise in order to make sure it can be read.
我看到我的生活，如果没有你是多么的美好。It was beautiful.
For English subtitles, there should be no more than 17 characters per second of footage. Otherwise, your audience may miss a line. Text needs to be up long enough for a viewer to read it, but it also needs to be in sync with the sound.
Well, that was very brief.
Each subtitle should appear just as a character begins to speak, and it can linger slightly after they finish, but not too much. Captions should also be compact. Ideally, a subtitle is readable at a glance, with no more than 2 lines of text and 50 characters per line.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Breaking this rule may result in a chunk of text that distracts from the film behind it. Where text begins and ends is also important. Also known as segmentation, subtitlers try to abide by the rule of 1 sentence per caption.
Who's got the throat slitter?
If that's not possible, text can be broken where the pauses are in a character's speech.
I see you shiver with anticipation.
Line breaks also require thought.
I think you gotta think about your options.
Syntactic units like a noun and its adjective, or first name and last name, should not be split by a line break.
My name is Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump!
Take this example.
Naturellement, mon histoire de guerre a attiré beaucoup d'attention en Allemagne.
A lot should have been kept in 1 line, because it's a syntactic unit. These rules are not ironclad. If a correct line break will ruin a shot's composition, it can be altered. Subtitles should always keep editing in mind. Captions can play off of the rhythm and movement of a scene. Usually, subtitlers avoid having text linger after a shot is cut.
Thanks.
If text does linger, make sure it ends a bit after the cut to avoid a visual flicker.
How do you like it?
Subtitles themselves should be edited with gaps between them so that the viewer can register the new text. And these gaps must remain consistent throughout the film to not feel jarring. Usually between 2 to 4 frames.
Maybe it's time we forgot about discretion.
Subtitlers should also take into account just how busy a scene is. If there is a lot going on visually, it's best to keep the subtitles brief and to the point so the audience isn't overwhelmed.
为了避免误会，就会参加 meeting， 所以 Becky 是来帮忙看爸爸的。
Filmmakers, meanwhile, should consider how text will affect their frame. Subtitles are very good at attracting a viewer's eye.
我諗緊。
So, if there is an important visual you want your audience to see, show it without a subtitle. It's important to remember, not everything needs to be subtitled. If a line is repeated or obvious in context, there is no need to write it out.
Margarete.
Subtitle coloring is also crucial. The text color needs to contrast with the scene it appears over, or else it will be difficult to read.
It's massive.
This can be avoided with shadowing or bordering, which can make brightly colored text stand out in a bright scene. And finally, remember that translating is an art which requires expertise. It is usually best to hire a translator who specializes in subtitling. They will be able to make sure translation is accurate, logical, and culturally sensitive, while adhering to the rules outlined so far. Director Bong Joon-ho works closely with translator Darcy Paquette when giving his films English subtitles, ensuring the new dialogue will have the same intent as the original. In Parasite, for example, the characters eat a dish called japaguri.
저기 아줌마, 짜파구리 할 줄 아시죠?
But Paquette refers to it as ramdan in the subtitles, because ramen is more recognizable to an English-speaking audience.
짜파구리? 짜파구리라고 다송이가 제일 좋아하는 건데.
Interlingual subtitling will affect how an entire population will view your film, so it's crucial it's done right.
짜파구리가 뭐야?
As much as subtitling is a science, it is also an art form. And there are many creative uses of the technique.
I think I'm starting to figure it out.
Used deliberately, subtitles can enhance a film's content, going far beyond just transcription or translation. Captioning can be used for differentiation between characters, languages, or scenes, allowing a viewer to better orient themselves in a plot. In Pachinko, different languages are written in different colors: blue for Japanese and yellow for Korean. This helps an international audience better understand what is already a complex narrative. Subtitles can also be a source of comedy. In Austin Powers, the joke comes from the caption's formatting.
Nice potty mouth, dirtbag.
In Annie Hall, the subtitles reveal the character's true thoughts.
So, did you do those photographs in there, or what?
Yeah, I sort of dabble around, you know.
Intralingual text, meanwhile, allows for heightened authenticity.
Ich befürchte, dass keiner von Ihnen ein einziges Wort Deutsch spricht.
Signorine, piacere.
In 1899, for example, the immigrants hailing from different countries speak different languages, a realistic element only made possible by translation on screen.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's also the case for you, my dear.
Vi har brug for hjælp. Vi har brug for en læge.
How a subtitle is presented can add to a visual palette of a film. In John Wick, the subtitles are stylish, with graphic emphasis on important lines of dialogue. And creative transitions. They fit in perfectly with the stylized look of the film.
Code. Vigo will kill me.
Subtitles are far more important than most people think.
That's really important.
Yeah, it is.
Without them, a film's reach would be a lot smaller.
Absolutely.
And its scope would be a lot more narrow.
Gesundheit. God bless you.
This video was made in collaboration with Subtle, an association of subtitlers and translators. For more info, their website is linked in the description. But before you start captioning, you need a movie. Start your next film with StudioBinder's screenwriting software.
Das Vidania, mój syn.
Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications to make sure you don't miss any of StudioBinder's filmmaking videos.